Well, the first Sino-Japan War began in 1894 and ended in 1895 with the defeat of China. It marked the emergence of Japan as a major world power and demonstrated the weakness of China's Qing dynasty. 120 years later, the provincial archive of Liaoning has made public a number of documents from the war. CCTV's Guan Yang reports.
China's losses in the First Sino-Japanese War shocked the world. It had more resources, a much larger population, a bigger army, and had been modernizing its military. Despite all this, the Qing dynasty Beiyang fleet fell apart as soon as the conflict broke out. 120 years later, Liaoning Provincial Archive has disclosed some of the wartime documents on the crushing defeat.
Most of these files have never been made public before. In some official documents, we can see the Qing dynasty ordered the army to make all-out efforts to fight the Japanese, but their organization was in disarray. Officials were often corrupt and more interested in fighting each other than in trying to win the war.
Experts say the roots of China's defeat lay not in military weakness, but in the corrupt state system and ignorance of the maritime strategy. China's Beiyang fleet at the time had the most modern warships, but the period of peace before the war degraded the fleet.
The fleet failed to update the equipment on the warships after they were built. The Japanese cannons could fire 3 to 4 times more rounds per minute than the Chinese ones.
History is not forgotten. A shipbuilding company in Liaoning province, where most of the war battles took place, is building a replica of one of the warships that was sunk. It's scheduled to be completed by September and will be used as for patriotic education to remind people of the national humiliation at that time.
The reason for building the replica is that we are trying to heal the darkest moment of China's maritime history.
The significance of the First Sino-Japanese War continues to reverberate through the Chinese society. 120 years later, China is very different, and the will of the Chinese people to uphold territorial sovereignty remains firm. Guan Yang, CCTV, Liaoning Province.